Welcome to iLecture Online. Now let's move on to the concept of the domain and the range, and this applies to both relations and functions. It doesn't matter. So, by definition, the domain is the set of all possible x values of a function or a relation. In other words, every number that can be equal to x, or that x can be equal to, that's part of the set called the domain. And the range is a set of all possible y values of a function or relation. So every value that can be associated to y, that set is called the range. Now, how do we keep them separate? How do we understand which is which? Because that's quite often easily confused. What is the range? What is the domain? Does it belong to x? Does it belong to y? Well, the way I dealt with it is as follows. I used the alphabetical order. Since x comes before y in the alphabet, D for domain comes before R in the alphabet. And so therefore, domain is associated with X and the range is associated with Y. At least that's the way I remembered it when I first started taking algebra in school a long time ago. So now, here's some examples. So let's say we have the set of these four ordered pairs, 3, 6, 4, 8, 5, 10, 6, 12. The first number is associated with X, the second number is associated with Y. So the domain, all the x values are 3, 4, 5, and 6. Those are the only values in that particular set that x can be. And for the range, 6, 8, 10, and 12 are the only possible y values that you can find within that set of ordered pairs. Now, if we have a relation like this, an ellipse that has boundary values from x equals positive 3 to x equals negative 3, and for y positive 2 to y negative 2, you can see then that you can easily figure out the domain and the range. All the possible values for x are any values starting at negative 3, going all the way to positive 3, and everything in between. The way to write that would be as follows. The domain is equal to the set of all x's such that, and that's what that means. The language as follows. So it's the set of all x's such that x goes from negative 3, inclusive negative 3, to positive 3, including positive 3. So it includes negative 3 and positive 3 and all values in between. And for the range, we say that it's equal to the set of all values for y such that y lies between negative 2 and positive 2, including the two endpoints. And that's how we define all the possible values for x and all the possible values for y, which means the set equals the domain and the range for x and y. And that is how it's done.
I always thought that's let's torture algebra kids.
You think this is to torture them some more?
Yeah, it's like, why don't you say what are possibilities for x instead of giving another name for the same thing?
Yes, but then there's always this thing that once you give it a name, everybody can then associate it with the name.
It already has a name.
All the possible values for x and all the possible values for y?
Yeah.
Yeah, I must agree with you. I'm kind of on the fence, so to speak. I agree with you that why do we need to learn more terms if we could just learn the concept, which I agree with. On the other hand, it's nice to give it a name so that we can associate a specific name to a specific concept. That's what we like to do.
No, it's torture algebra.
Unfortunately, just more to learn. And is there a real benefit to know that it's called the domain or the range, or just understand that here we're looking for all the possible values for x and y? I must agree with you on that one.
And then also say that straight line means such that.
The straight line means such that. I probably want to write that down, right? So this means such that. Yep. It's nice to know that. Otherwise, again, it's the language of algebra, right? You need to know those things.
You don't have to spell it out once you learned it. It's not like, oh, why don't we give that another name?
Yeah. Well, it's important to learn the language of algebra so we can all talk algebra to one another.